Welcome to another episode of Wrestling with WorldWide Willis. This podcast and every single one of them is brought to you by the LMG Podcast Network. And today we're going to talk about the latest things going on. You know what I mean? A little check in, a little tap in to the latest things going on as we have SummerSlam coming down the pipe. And so let's get it going. I think right now it's kind of hard to start anything without talking about probably the hottest storyline right now in pro wrestling right now, which is this love triangle between Dom, Liv Morgan, and Rhea Ripley. Now, I think I was a little worried when they brought Rhea back. What was that? Now 2 weeks ago, technically two Raws ago, the Raw before last, and I was like, man, maybe is it too early? I thought, you know what I mean? I thought Rhea coming back would be, it's a big deal. Like very clear. It's a big deal. But I wanted her to kind of get that huge pop at SummerSlam or something. However, it is smart to have her come back earlier. That way you can build up the suspense for a match and you can build more drama, right? Because they've already, now that we have Rhea back, now we have the confrontation we've been looking for, right? The storyline with Dom and Liv has been great so far. Like it really has. Liv, I got to give her credit. Like in the ring, trash, but outside of the ring during this storyline has upped her game a thousandfold. So she's done a good job of building the anticipation, and then now we actually have Rhea back. So now we get to see the full like love triangle. We get to see Dom's reactions towards Liv, but then also him trying to make up for what happened with Liv to Rhea, and then we get to see Rhea's reactions towards it. So it's been really fun so far. This past Raw, we got to see Rhea pop up and kind of like, because the Raw before we saw Rhea come back, but we didn't really get to see that confrontation between Rhea and Dom. Where in this latest episode of Raw, you kind of got to see Dom trying to apologize, Rhea not having it, of course, and then of course you got my boy Jay Uso playing the role of every man out there trying to holler at Rhea, trying to, what I mean, slip in, slide the DMs while Rhea's a little vulnerable, what I mean, dealing with Dom. And shout out to Uso. What I mean? Jay's trying to get in there and see how she's doing, check up on her, give her a shoulder to cry on. He said he even said he wants to take her to Waffle House or whatever. So shout out to him. So yeah, Jay's been a great addition to it because and that's what I mean, man. Like under Vince McMahon, the Jay Uso thing would have never got thought of. Bringing Jay in to just do a small little part of the promo in the backstage area, that would have never been thought of because Vince doesn't think long term storytelling or referencing back to an old thing that was mentioned, very very loosely, right? Because when we had the first kind of Dom Judgment Day versus Cody and Randy and Kevin Owens and Jay, what was that last year? During that time, Jay was trying to holler at Rhea, right? And the Judgment Day were kind of using that to take advantage of Jay. Well, now we get a call back to now where, yeah, we're in totally different rivalries and things of that nature. However, Jay is still trying to holler. And the fact that they even point to that, even hint towards that, to me, that shows the level of writing that WWE is on right now. You know what I'm saying? And they've been on since what, 2021, 2022. So just the callbacks is what I love. You know what I mean? Just understanding that fans are smart. We're gonna remember stuff like that. We're gonna remember that, Jay subtly kept telling Rhea, hey, call me last year. You know what I mean? He kept telling her, like, hey, come holler at me, holler at me. You know what I mean? They didn't dive too deep in it. It wasn't like a week or a month long storyline. No, it was just quickly, little quick stuff. It was funny, cool. They kept moving. But now to call back to it, these past weeks has been great. Like that's what we love to see. We love that stuff because that feels like you got, if you're a viewer a week to week or month to month, whatever, you feel like you got rewarded by, you feel like you are being rewarded when they do callbacks because you're like, oh, okay, there's a reason I'm watching every week because things that I've watched in the past may come back in the future and I know what's going on. You know what I mean? So That's just been great. Shout out to Jey Uso. He's been a cool little addition to it. But man, I gotta say, man, Dom's just a top tier talent, man. Like he's killed it. This I know it's kind of some people are like, man, it's easy to play the role of a dude trying struggling between Rhea and Liv. Sure, you make that argument. Sure, I totally understand that, but I think he's done a great job of like playing it very low key. Hasn't like showed his hand either way. He's kind of been tempted by Liv, but he's never really crossed a definitive line. But he's also, you could tell his feelings towards Rhea are there, but he also hasn't done anything that's like, oh, he loved it, like he's in love with that woman or whatever. So shout out to Dom, man. He's the performance that I think is taking it to a whole new level, and just the heat that he has, man. Like the crowd hates him, or the crowd likes him so much that they boo him. It's kind of a weird deal. Like we enjoy Dom now to the point to where it's fun to boo him. You know what I mean? Whereas some guys is like, man, I can't stand when you're on my television. Please get off. And we boo him. But no, Dom's not that way. We want more Dom. We just don't. We just it's just fun. The experience of booing him and making fun of him and all those things. That's fun part of it. So yeah, Dom has killed it, man. Like really has. He's done a great job. I'm excited to see what they do or how he's involved in this match at SummerSlam between Rhea and Liv for that title, and hopefully Rhea can get that title back. But I do want to segue into just the Judgment Day in general. Like I thought Judgment Day was at its peak, probably, uh, probably, War Games last year. That was kind of peak Judgment Day, right? Where they was just running things every week to week to week. But I honestly, and I thought with the R-Truth edition and even Carlito, I thought, okay, it's going down. Like it's the time is run out. It's fine. We had a good run, but its time is running out. But with this latest iteration, man, like Dom, Rhea, well, Dom and Damien have really stepped up to the point to where it's like, this thing could rock out for another couple months. Obviously, we know it's going to be a crash and burn type of situation where Damien's going to leave or, Dom's going to leave or whatever. However, Judgment Day breaks up is however they do it. However, I think they've done a great job of like putting Judgment Day back on the map, and we take them serious enough, right? So we take this love triangle stuff, we take it serious enough. We take Damien's definitely been taken more seriously just because he's been himself, right? He isn't trying to be this big bad, you know, bad guy. He's just being himself. Everyone can relate to a guy who's trying to prove himself, won a title that he probably shouldn't have won. He won the title off of a briefcase cash in. So he's already insecure about his title reign. He's like, I didn't really pin the guy. You know what I mean? I didn't win a match from start to finish. I came in there on a technicality and won, so he's going to be insecure about that. So he's going to not want the assistance of his crew because he wants to be able to prove that he's the guy. He can get it done on his own. He's seen what Roman Reigns used to do. He wants to do the opposite of that. Well, I just think Damien's done a great job. Obviously, in the ring, he's been great, but I think like out of the ring, on the mic, he's been great. On his backstage promos with or segments with Dom has been amazing. Like always funny. Shout out to Carlito throwing in some funny lines. But I think Damien has stepped up big time since getting this belt. And I was, I was skeptical about him being a champ, but I thought he's done a good job. Unfortunately, he is running into the buzzsaw, the Austrian, but I think Gunther's from Austria, but the Austrian buzzsaw in Gunther SummerSlam, and I think it's going to be a classic. However, I think Gunther's more than it. I do think Gunther's going to take leave with the W, and that's going to cause even more friction between the Judgment Day. But yeah, I'm loving what they're doing, man. Again, Priest is just been amazing. Dom has been like the MVP of everything, and he's kind of the glue that holds all of it together. to the fact that like his relationship with Damien, his relationship obviously with Rhea, his relationship with Finn and JD and all those guys. So yeah, I'm excited for this. I'm excited for this story to develop and how to see how Judgment Day falls apart eventually. But I'm not in a rush. Like some people are like, man, they should break up now. Somebody should go. It's just like, man, hey, let it cook, man. This has been a really, really successful story. If is like WWE is looking for a faction to sort of replace the bloodline as far as importance and kind of power on the card. And yeah, it's just crazy how the Judgment Day was kind of thrown together by Edge, and then Finn takes over, and then it becomes this big old deal. So it's been great to see that. We are gonna get obviously versus um Liv versus Rhea SummerSlam. I think we know how that's gonna go, or at least I think I know how it's gonna go, but I could definitely see Dom costing Rhea the championship and turning on her or something like that. Um, you could definitely see it. You know what I mean? You could definitely see that happening. And then finally Liv and Dom kind of really going all in on their relationship. So I could definitely see that. It'd be fun either way. Like I could see some funny scenarios doing that and having Jay and Rhea versus Liv and Dom in different segments and matches and scenarios and funny little stuff. I could see it. Next, let's tap in with the bloodline. So obviously we're gonna have Solo versus Cody at SummerSlam for the title. We think that's when Roman's gonna show back up, but we'll see. Who knows? But again, I like what Solo's doing. It's definitely different than their normal tribal chief. I I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I do think it's been quality, and I think Solo stepped it up a little bit. Again, I don't think his ring work is great, but I do think character wise he stepped it up, and he's kind of got a feel for how he wants to do things now, uh, as far as being the boss and whatnot. Um, Again, what they did with Paul Heyman, crazy. What they did to Randy, crazy. Randy might legit shoot, might be hurt. You know what I mean? He might legitimately be hurt, which would suck. Especially with him, this being Cena's last year coming up. I'd like him to be there for Cena's last run. But and because we think he potentially will go for Cody for the title, so that'd be dope. So hopefully, whatever Randy has is minor. Hopefully, but again, Bloodline. I think they're doing some great stuff on SmackDown. Jacob Fatu is amazing. Hopefully, he gets some more like individual stuff. And again, I like what they did with him just beating people up random, like just pulling up, going wild Samoan style, and just beating dudes up and leaving. You know, I think that'd be really cool if they just had the Bloodline just beat up the entire roster and just run wild. That would lean even more into, hey, these guys can't be controlled. Roman did it in a certain way that was civilized and orderly, and now Solo's kind of just unleashed the dogs on these guys. So I am encouraged by the Bloodline. Again, I have some people who are like, man, this is my favorite iteration of the Bloodline. I'm like, right, like let's chill. Like Bloodline was the hottest thing in wrestling in 2020, late 2022. Like, come on, like, come on, guys. Like, we Bloodline. This is the B level Bloodline. A level Bloodline is already over. But yeah, I am excited to see Roman again, and I'm excited to see a potential. Like we said, Bloodline versus Bloodline. NWO versus NWO Red type of vibes. So yeah, I'm excited for that one. Again, Bloodline's doing some good stuff, but definitely looking forward to the big showcase at SummerSlam. Um, Next, let's talk about Braun Breaker. I think he's been doing some great work. Again, I said how disappointed I was his loss at Money in the Bank. However, I do think he will get another chance at SummerSlam. I can see it be a triple threat match between him, Ilya, and Sami Zayn. And yeah, I'm hoping Braun, gets the dub there. If it's Ilya getting the dub, I'd be happy as well. Anybody with Sammy right now. I just don't think he's upgrading the title. very much. Um, I don't think he's taking it to another level the way Gunther did, which is kind of hard to see because, again, Sammy's been the IC champion a few times, so this is kind of normal, part of the part for course, you know. But Braun, man, he's showing off his athleticism, showing off how mean he is. He fits right into the Steiner way, you know. Um, fits right in. A little stiff too. Got to be a little stiff when you're a Steiner. Um, all right, let's talk about this Gable versus the Y6 stuff. Um, Honestly, kind of exhausted, man. I remember when they was talking about Bray coming back. I was like, dude, why? Like, why? I'm just not into the Y6. Look, I'm not against the mystical parts of wrestling. I liked Undertaker. I liked a few other people, but this stuff is just, I don't know, man. It feels like they're just copying stuff they see from scary movies and just trying it, see how it goes. You know, trying it, see how it goes. Um, and yeah, I'm not in love with it. I'm not in love with the process. I don't think Bo Dallas is that great. I think the other Wyatt members are really good in the ring, but I just don't think Bo has the charisma or the overall skill that Bray did to lead a group like this. And I just, again, this stuff is hard to work with. Like LA Knight, when he worked with Bray, that was tough. That was probably his worst performance in WWE, just because, I mean, you're dealing with something that's very hard to do, um, to interact with, right? You're a wrestler and you're interacting with some dolls and some music and stuff, and you're never going to really be in the ring with that person. Um, so yeah, I don't know. The Y6 stuff is cool, whatever. People are excited about it. I never was, never understood the like people were like really digging into the QR codes and whatnot. I'm like, who cares? Like it's the Y6. We know it's coming. It's gonna be some music, people coming out. You know, it's gonna be the normal stuff. Um, and then we have the U.S. title. The U.S. title is up for grabs as far as Logan Paul versus LA Knight at SummerSlam. I'm hoping LA gets that dub. You know, gets his dub at SummerSlam. That'd be really really cool. I think the crowd would go nuts for that. Um, then we have Nia Jackson Bailey. Nia Jax calling Bailey BBL Bailey, which we all know. We all know what she's talking about. Yeah, Bailey got that thing back there, and so I do think that could be a really good match. Again, I think Nia's taking it another level as far as in the ring. And I think Bailey's still really, really good technical wise. And yeah, yeah, man, I think this will be a good little rivalry. I don't expect too much from it, but I do think with their history, I could see it being a very good match. It's kind of, I don't want to say steal the show, but it's one of those matches where you go, wow, this is a lot better than I thought it would be. All right. And then we have um let's check in with our other titles. Again, we talked about the IC title with Sammy. We talked about the US title. Um Damian Priest versus Gunther. Again, I think Gunther's winning at SummerSlam, but I do think that's going to be a potential match of the night. Just how big those two are, and compatible they are. I can see it. Trying to tap in. NXT's doing some great stuff right now. Um, Bringing in some guys, a lot of TNA influence. I believe in Joe Hendry. You know that song. Um, Bringing a lot of TNA talent, which I think is great, and hopefully do a Worlds Collide with them. That'd be That'd be amazing. Um, but yeah, it's. I think the SummerSlam card could be really really good. I do think they need a few more like big hitters. You need a Brock, you need a Bobby Lashley, you need a Randy, you need a little more heavy hitters on SummerSlam. So I'm interested to see how they fill out that card. All right, let's talk about bringing back the top fives, folks. Bringing back the top fives. Today we're going to talk about the top five wrestling romances. So basically, we're going to talk about the top five wrestling couples in my eyes. I want to be clear, in my eyes. Okay. Number 5, we got Macho Man and Elizabeth. 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 Yeah, brother. Like Elizabeth, I think that relationship was always iconic. It was consistent and the storyline. Like that's my thing. Like people can be together for a while or longer, but did they have a key storyline with each other that was really good? Like I don't remember. Well, actually, no. With Macho Man and Elizabeth, obviously we had the Elizabeth leaving him when kind of leaving him out to dry, but still being in his matches. And he got attacked by a lady, and Elizabeth jumped the guardrail, ran in the ring, and started beating up the girl, and threw her out. The crowd went crazy. Like the pop of the crowd was crazy. So got to give him a lot of credit for that one. Next we have China and Eddie Guerrero. I honestly think Rhea and Dom are kind of pulling a little bit from that storyline and taking what they can, taking bits and pieces of that one, because that was a really dope. China and Eddie, like they shared the IC title. Um, you could see Eddie was always begging for China's approval and say so. So yeah, that was a really really good movie. Um, like that was a really good like relationship they had. Because Eddie, Eddie's one of the best actors to ever come out of pro wrestling. So he always sold, kind of always he always put over China as far as being the dominant one in the relationship. So I think that's kind of what we're getting out of Dom and Rhea too. Number 3, this one is toxic as hell, but we got Matt Hardy and Lita slash Edge. You know what I mean? So Matt Hardy and Lita, that was a great couple. People loved it. Obviously, the Hardy Boys are invited to the barbecue, like they always have been, but they were beloved by the community. So when we found out that those two were like together, people was even more hype about it. But then when she left him the way she did for Edge, who was one of the most disliked wrestlers out there by the community and otherwise, that hurt, man. That made Lita look crazy. And so, yeah, the fact that like Matt like ran out there, wasn't supposed to be there, was talking about other promotions and like it's just really cool, really great stuff. Really toxic stuff, but it also made you a little uncomfortable. I mean, when Edge and Lita had that one, like they were trying to get it on in the ring, it was just crazy. Like that whole romance was wild. It kind of took romance storylines to another level, with them being a lot more personal. Um, but number 2, we have Stephanie McMahon and Triple H. I think these two, some would be surprised they're number 2 and not number 1. I think I put them number 2 because they don't really have an iconic storyline with those two involved. They have cool storylines with Stephanie and Kurt, or Stephanie and Chris Jericho, or Triple H and Trish Stratus, but usually not together. Usually, um, you know, and I was trying to look for other top 5 relationships. It was tough. It was really tough because there's some really good ones out there. There's still some ones today, you know, especially over in AW and the independent scenes. Um, but yeah, Stephanie and Triple H, they really put on for being young people who have a relationship that were as professional at all times, and their storylines didn't go too crazy because they was always loyal to each other. And the number 1, I got to do Dom and Rhea. Dom and Rhea Ripley have been amazing so far. I thought they brought drama, they brought some toxic, they brought some dominant. Rhea being the dominant one, and Dom being kind of just accepting of whatever he gets. And yeah, it's just been a really cool dynamic, and I'm excited to see their relationship like really crash and burn and how that works, because right now it's hitting on all cylinders. Right now, I think that's the top 5 wrestling couples of all time for me. Again, for me. Now, some people may disagree. Some people may be like, "Man, why didn't you put such and such and such and such?" I get it. I get it. But for me, this is my top five. Again, number five, Macho Man and Elizabeth. Number four, China and Eddie Guerrero. Number three, Matt Hardy, Lita and Edge. Number two, we got Stephanie McMahon and Triple H. And then number one, we got Dominic Mysterio and Rhea Ripley. So that's my top five. I think those wrestling couples have been classics. Even if they're going on right now, they've been classics moving forward. And yeah, it's crazy how good wrestling couples can be if they're done right. They can really bring a lot of steam to your storyline. So I think that's what happened with the Judgment Day with Don and Rhea. It's brought back some steam to this storyline. So yeah, folks, that's the episode for today. Again, tap in with me. Let me know if you have any updates or anything you want to talk about. I am definitely about to tap more back into AEW. Tap more back into that. NXT's killing it right now. Again, Obafemi's killing it, and some others over there. So AEW, NXT, really all promotions are in a solid place right now, which is hard to say for AEW sometimes. But I think all platforms are in a good spot. I think AEW with having Will Ospreay and Swerve are doing well. They still need to have some big guys being there, like Brody King, as I've mentioned 1,000 times before. But yeah, that is the episode for today. Again, hit me up if you have any questions or anything anything you want to talk about. Again, you get us up on the Facebook group. You can hit us up on Twitter or the Instagram. So just hit me. Let me know your thoughts. And until next time, we out. Yeah.